Good morning or good evening if you're in the US. The altcoin market and crypto market is not doing too well today. Actually, I must say, I am a fan of Monday dumps because usually when Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin, pumps on a Monday, it doesn't really quite end well towards the end of the week. So I'm not so frustrated. If you've been following this channel, then we've been expecting a large cap pullback. We've spoken even in previous videos that Cardano, for example, is having a bearish divergence. So are other large caps like Chainlink. So even though on things like Cardano, I'm super bullish, and we've been talking about Cardano for so long now, it feels like at least, I didn't want to buy in immediately. I wanted to DCA more at our entry price at 0.77. The same thing goes for Chainlink. I think Chainlink is so bullish. Yesterday it was up 12%. It's still holding up relatively well, but it also has a bearish divergence on the daily time frame. So it's completely understandable that some of these large caps, following a bit of market euphoria on crypto Twitter, are experiencing this pullback, so nothing to worry at all. Ethereum may seem concerning, I understand. We're down to 4.2 now, and that's market psychology, but look on the bright side. Over the past 2 months, the price of Ethereum is still up 67%. I think now is a fantastic buying opportunity for Ethereum. You guys probably know why. We've spoken about it a lot, but we will reiterate it once more on today's update video. Then finally, Bitcoin. Do we have a CME gap? Well, good news, guys and girls. Oh, this is not good news. There is no CME gap today. We have filled the CME gap. So if you go to the 4-hourly time frame, you will quickly understand that there is no CME gap to fill. At least that is the bullish scenario. We did say that, yeah, we did add into Bitcoin positions at the CME gap last week, but I mentioned that there's a very high chance that Bitcoin keeps coming down, and that's completely okay with me. I wanted to open this limit order anyways because I just think it's a good place to be DCing in. The risk management for me makes sense, but we did say that Bitcoin will likely come down a bit more, and I will show you where my targets are for a potential further correction, for a potential bounce, and we will look into the Ethereum liquidity. So a lot to go over on this beautiful Monday morning. I hope everybody's starting off their week in a very nice way. I'm going to fly in a few hours, so I'm going to be AFK for I think about 6 to 5 hours, and then tonight at about 11:30 p.m. Dubai time, we will go live on the Moonshow channel, so stay tuned on both channels. If you want to be trading cryptocurrencies and buying Bitcoin and crypto, you can go to the links down in the description below. The first link is going to give you a free VIP level 2 status where you get 25% trading fees, off trading fees, after 24 hours of signing up and a free $1,000 Ethereum trade until the end of this month. So make sure that you capitalize on that. And with that said, you know what, let's start off with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, no CME gap. Perfect. Where is my line of support? Where do I expect Bitcoin to bounce from? So here are the places. I think this supports from the W that Bitcoin formed, and then we went into all-time highs. I think the 113, this is the CME chart. Let's get out of the CME chart because it doesn't give you the same price levels as the spot chart. That's the more important one you want to be looking at. Let's go to the daily time frame. So the daily time frame, unfortunately, we look like a double top, and this was a warning I gave you. I said, really, you don't want to be seeing that. It's not the best, and I won't talk about it until it's more apparent. Sadly, it is more apparent now. So for Bitcoin, 12,000, I get rid of the 1 at the start, just so it's easier to say. $12,464 is where the next really major line of support is. Even where the price is trying to bounce from now is some sort of support, but I would say the 12,000 mark is stronger. You can even pull it down to 11,940 to utilize on that high created on the 22nd of May 2025. But that's the mark that I would be looking at for a potential Bitcoin bounce. In yesterday's video, I hinted that I didn't really like these 2 shooting star candles. I even made a post on the Crypto Kid Twitter account saying that I'm not a fan of this 2 double star weekly candle. And actually, it's giving me confirmation bias that Bitcoin will likely come down to this 11,940 level. And at that point, if I do see some strong signs of reversal heading back to the upside, obviously the liquidity is still pointing to much higher levels for Bitcoin. The cycle is doing so. at the same time. So I'm not bearish, don't get me wrong, but at 11,940, if we can get some strong signs of reversal, which I don't doubt that we will, I will be adding to my long positions. But macro outlook, still bullish on Bitcoin. This is just, in my opinion, a short-term dump. So that's the Bitcoin outlook. Then we go into Ethereum. Ethereum 4245. If remember, we said that that was pretty important resistance and that we would be expecting 4.186 and even $4,000 for Ethereum. What I didn't expect it to happen was, I mean, I thought it would happen in September. It's happening much sooner. Not an issue. If you remember, we've been trading Ethereum on weeks. We've been opening positions since 1.5, $1.6 thousand. All of those positions are still massively profitable, so nothing to worry about. We also have that bearish divergence on Ethereum too, just like the rest of the, I mean, most of the layer ones, right? So the Cardanos, Chainlink is a layer 2, but the large caps, Ethereum has the same bearish divergence on the daily time frame. The point of most liquidity, if you go to the liquidation heat map, it's still sitting at about 4.1 to $4,000. We made a liquidity heat map chart last weekend, and since then, nothing too much has changed. You can see $4 billion worth of liquidity piled up between 4.14 to 4.18, all the way down to 4.1. So 4.1 in general, massive amounts of liquidations, and market makers like to attract price to those high points of liquidity. When you look at the upside, not as much as liquidity as there is piling to the downside. Do I think Ethereum will come down to 3.5? No. Personally, I don't think so. I could be wrong, as always, but I don't think so. And to read these liquidity heat maps, you need to be very careful. You can't just rely on the points of very high neon. That's not how it works. You need to combine it with other forms of analysis. But do I think we can see a correction to 4.1? Absolutely. Let's see what happens at that point. We're not so far away from it. And I'm going to tell you, I will probably set a limit order to buy up some Ethereum at 14140. I think it's a good point of DCA. Let's just do this for now, and if the price comes down, we can add a bit. Yeah, this is a bit too little. Let's go with 40%, and if the price comes down to that point, then I can consider even adding more capital, which is fine. So I will put a limit order to buy Ethereum and DCA there. Can we come down lower? Possible. Actually, when I look at this daily time frame chart, it does even look like we can go into the 3.4 ranges. So completely disregard what I said about the 3.5. I was just looking at this chart. When you look at this, it doesn't give you as good of a picture as the daily chart does. So please excuse me. I think 3.5 actually does look like it can be on the table. So I'm sorry for what I said before. You do have a bit of a head and shoulders pattern breaking down for Ethereum. And if I calculate the height of the head and shoulders and we put it below the breakdown zone, you're going to notice that we can see 3.7. I'm going to remove this limit. On weeks, we can change it very easily. And I'm going to put it down to 3.75. Okay, so we're just going to drag it down, confirm. Is it not going to happen? It should. There we go. So I'm going to drag it down just a little bit more, 3.726. That's the target of the head and shoulders. So we're going to put the Ethereum limit order there. Guys, that was just some live technical analysis for you. I just woke up and I wanted to break the news of the prices dumping. So we're doing everything together at the moment, which is beautiful. So 3726 is the target of this head and shoulders. That's where I'm going to be adding to my Ethereum. We already have limit orders for Chainlink and ADA, so nothing much more to go into there. At 3.7, you're still above the bullish pennant, so you're still keeping the bullish structure. Not too big of a deal. And I think that's everything that I wanted to cover, guys. So look, price is dumping. It's okay. Nothing to be concerned. I think this is just a healthy correction. When you go into the macro, like the very, very larger time frames, like this one, obviously coming below the multi-cycle resistance with a shooting star isn't something that you want to see. Can we continue dumping in September? Bitcoin does that, but October and November, until the end of Q4, I do have a very bullish picture for Bitcoin. So no matter what happens within these next 1.5 months, I'm going to be accumulating, but I will be selling in the end of Q4. And definitely altcoins in Q1. I think altcoins are still so far away from their deserved season. But those are my views. Can they change? They can change all by tomorrow. And that's just how trading and technical analysis works. So what I recommend doing is, I recommend with following every single video, turning on the notification bell, and that way you can get the live updates as soon as something's changed, because everything changes. It doesn't change so frequently, but you never know. Something happens, we make a breaking news video, and our plans may shift, and I will share all of those plans with you here on this channel if anything as such happens. But thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all guys on the next video very soon. Take care, and as always, bye-bye.